Welcome everyone to another live stream here, straight from our headquarters, developing our increasingly popular Linux distribution. Today LLVM 1701 is out of this increasingly popular compiler infrastructure, and of course we have to upgrade and with that test and integrate this into our Linux distribution. So let's get straight to work doing just that. So that would be as usual, like we usually do. Do we do that here actually? Actually, maybe we do it in a second. Like a little bit busy here developing stuff, right? Let's do this here, this cleaner tree. And let's also stop this live preview to save some bandwidth. We could go through the changes, not that interesting, of course, everything is more amazing, but in the details like in intermediate representation and stuff, and more options, more optimizations and stuff. Maybe I do this in a second video. Let's for now see how it builds, if it builds. So do we also have no changes here? That's good. And then let's grab here 16.0, what was it, 6 or so in all of config packages. That should be all of those. I'll read 1, 2, 3, 4 P. Usually I do differently, but oops, sometimes some new things. So P 1701. Let's see if that just downloads. I'm of course interested how much builds. By the way, maybe we need the problem for system integrators, Linux distributions, and all the RPM-based forks is, of course, not only does it build for all the relevant architectures like PowerPC and Spark, RISC-V, but also then with all the infrastructure, Rust and Mesa. Only helps you so much. Should we actually do that? Maybe. Okay, let's commit this. I should have my tree a little bit more clean. The problem is now it's untested. Although, you know what? Let's do this a little bit more professional. Which is svn diff that, and then cd down t2 patch p0. That probably should work. So copying that over. Just as like, it's a little bit more complicated. It's like, it's like you do something live, you realize, I don't want to do that way, because so the reason is stepping things up right. I recently wasted 2 days bisecting Spark stuff, Sunblade 1000, right? And even then Rust breakage in T2, right? And like, was it 1 or 2 days Spark stuff and even 1 extra day Rust stuff? So I'm a little bit, it's like, a little bit burned out from bisecting. So that means committing stuff a little more professional, right? So instead of just committing this, potentially leaving our version control history disturbed in some revisions not building, let's test it like this. So that's, do we have a build here? Maybe here in LLVM Clang we have. So then let's just delete that here. So that is the tool chain, the cross-compiled cross tool chain, and Clang, maybe LLD. And so yes, theoretically then Rust and Mesa. The question is, will it build? And there might still be leftovers or residual leftovers, build artifacts from the previous build, but like usually main headers are overwritten. Yeah, maybe I should have slightly deleted that, slightly different, but we will see. Also, for some reason not using the same download folder, probably. So yeah, that's what we expected. Stuff doesn't apply anymore. Thankfully we didn't just commit this. So that's the usual stuff, right? Why do I make a YouTube video? I mean, not only new stuff is out, but also stuff doesn't build, right? So what doesn't build? So that's the thing, right? It's like, especially for us supporting 30-ish plus architectures, like basically all the variants ever existed. And then of course stuff doesn't build anymore, apply anymore. What are we applying? So that is 1701 dwarf. Maybe, is it just, oh no, it actually looks, what do we apply here? Build any, applying, F section. Oh, this is my stuff. What is it? Ah, this, I think, hotfix dwarf. Okay, that's in hotfix. Let's see this. I remember, was this PowerPC? Ah, right, hotfix. Ah, right. That was a nasty regression. Okay, let's hope that is fixed. So that was something extremely nasty, just what I mentioned, right? This was somehow with Rust, so yeah, so big infrastructure projects that people are always impressed, like the best invention since sliced bread, and then it breaks each other, right? So this elf changes, dwarf debug section, info section changes, broke Rust. This resulted in some kind. Also, that's what I mean in the beginning of this video, right? Stepping this up. In the future, I will try even harder. I mean, obviously now with my company, previous forward-looking statement, right? Promised to invest some 20 million over the next decades here. The next big Linux distribution, the next big next-gen thing, right? And with this, all this paying my salary here, sitting day and night, further professionalizing this, right? In the future, like not YOLO, we fixed something random. It's like, no, I will try even harder. I mean, I even 10 and 15 years ago, before we went that big, I tried kind of sorter at times. You will find this in the subversion story, but maybe I've done it like 30% or so, including the actual build error head. Like this was the only hotfix. So we have a couple of other patches. All of the others apparently still apply. So 30% I included things, but like the more you professional work on it and constantly fight the windmills of regressions, you are wondering what precisely was it, right? And it's always more developers. It's even if you do it yourself, you forget, and then more developers, you don't know what the others did. So pro tip, best practice, include the error snippet in there, like this precise error happened. Maybe I didn't have it at hand at that time. Maybe I was probably one of those days I spent most likely a day on this hotfix, wanting to release, shipping to the customers, and then Rust didn't build anymore, right? The recurring theme. And that's why I already deleted all the other stuff. Clang hopefully built, but we will see. Rust is theoretically in Firefox, right? So what, and that's the thing, right? Previous videos, Sunblade, P3, trying to ship Firefox, right? Don't delay. Share, like, subscribe, Patreon today. We have Firefox to fix for PS3 and our PowerPC, other PowerPC goodness. PS3 Spark, previous video, right? Previous live stream some days ago. Even Clang LLVM variants for Spark version 9, which is a little bit in a non-standard state there, and obviously taking over maintenance of Itanium, which they want to finally delete upstream. While this compiles, there's also a new Linux kernel. I just saw our T2 contributing T2 developer reverted their patches to my surprise. Here downgraded 653. So that's in the init ID, so right. So that's done in user space. So if there's something broke, then maybe some UDEV rated event exposure of stuff. I think it usually worked for me. So yeah, that's slightly misleading. Although thumbs up for including details, right? Because it seems that passing UID broke there 652. But yeah, that is that should be entirely like famous last asterisk, famous last star. Footnote should be, except when kernel stuff breaks. So yeah, we thread rip that, right? Obviously. And so updates. Let's revert that and update to the latest. I had this actually tested, but yeah, that is even when we do stuff. Also, did I recently? Maybe I did. We did some major stuff, right? And even that, theoretically, currently we use ambutils, like our neighbors, Felix from Leitner, famous German security researcher, not impressed by his tools anymore. Probably was another historic mistake done at the T2 side of things. We probably want to migrate to using at least BusyBox or other tools instead of mbutils, because unmaintained, low quality, it's like, yeah, never trust famous security researchers' C code that you have not written yourself or so. And obviously I wouldn't write C code because I know that it's I know C too good to use it in my own projects. So revert that. So that is, so yeah, no, actually, okay, Notec updated that, downgraded that. So yeah, let's revert that. What do we have here? Merge, negative, change, revision here, and then upgrade that to 6. Where are we even? 5.4. 5.4. What did they do? A little bit of multitasking, right? Makes no sense to watch this 5 minutes build. Okay, that is quite some. Revert, AMD display, handshake. Did I even our dereferences, handshake, dereference, some null pointer, dereferences, stuff like that, I guess. Let's start to build this. I mean, we could cross compile it just for fun of it. Does it even evaluate -v at the end? I'm not sure. Oh, it does. Cool. So I'm just pre-testing this, whether the patches apply. They applied already. So that's all our fixes, all our decades of accumulated Linux kernel goodies, Spark and stuff. And then let's commit that to revert it and update it. If that doesn't work, it needs to be like user space UUID, so revert it, that and update it. That we have a LLD fails for reasons. What? It's like, yeah, spoiler alert, I knew already, usually like, yeah, 2023 unsuccessful tiny but growing Linux distribution needs to patch this stuff so much that each time there's an update, stuff doesn't apply anymore. What is that here? Or it's just other. All right, so I believe that failed on at least PowerPC, so maybe this did. Yeah, that was, it's like, yeah, pro tip, my own pro tip from 15 minutes ago. Include log, right? I don't even, so somehow that didn't build. I don't even remember. So like, let's revert that. If we again, like, I'm not sure if it was only for PowerPC or always. I think the thing was, I think there was a header missing. So I have no idea what the LLVM people did, but that header of Mach, oh goodness, wasn't there for whatever upgrade out of the. I mean, maybe they fixed it in 1604, 567. Yeah, cool. Or it's relocations, add relocations. Okay, that is also still not building. Fatal error. I said, you know what? It is okay. So I mean, yeah, it's the thing, right? Just the patch. Like I don't like. Leave in the comments below. I mean, I obviously don't care about Mach O, mostly really. But it's just it's probably somewhere. But this is kind of stuff. If you untar it, like 2023, or actually this was already last year, right? If you, hey, let's also be more professional. So SVN RMs, let's revert that, and so that we have the error message. Like pro tip, copy the error message first, because obviously if you build it then it's not there anymore. And also, like, for best practices, we don't need to include random numbers there. So that would be all of that without random stuff. Like, obviously there's no point in including some random build hash thing. So that is all. Then scripts cleanup. And after 25 years, and 5 of which here live on YouTube, it is not only you have infrastructure, so we have more storage area network and build server cluster to build. Working theme here with the latest and greatest and yesteryear's SaaS and rack mounted Mac stuff, but also polishing details, right? So for the no text mentioned UUID, currently we do it with root equals UDEF name of the UDEF generated human pretty printed by UUID. So that is def by disk block disk def disk by UUID. And that's obviously a little bit longish. I mean, it's like, yeah, longish. And so maybe I also change that. I had this on my, probably on one of my to-dos. I believe, so you previously UUID equals, that was like that, right? I mean, it's just a little bit stupid. I believe it looks like that, right? I mean, it doesn't, I mean, yeah, it saves a little bit, right? It doesn't save much, but I would, the thing is we need to custom implement it, which is just one line in shell, which is obviously why we implement it in shell. It's alarm beep. I believe my car alarm is different. Fingers crossed. So I probably changed to support that. Maybe we should also theoretically support label. The kernel has built-in support, but we are fully modular, so we do this in user space like 99% of the other. How many was it? 2029 or so Linux distributions. Yeah, but that is just one. We can actually check that. Is it in an info page of mount UUID equals? So yeah, label. Most devices. Actually, we should first build and then does this. Yeah, we need to. Wait, does it mean that mount does itself does that? I didn't. Maybe that is new since 5 or 10 years. Why it's from a comment to use file system partition. UID and label correctly supporting. Yes. Yeah, I mean internally it's of course simple, just translating that to by recommended setup is not to use text. The recommended setup is not to use text. Rather, the texts are more what the recommended setup is to use text. Okay, so the recommended setup is to use text, UUID equals, rather than UDEF symlinks, like we currently do. I mean, yeah, I mean, I would, theoretically, I would argue the directly, I find, theoretically, I would slightly disagree. For me, it's more natural to use what's actually there, right? For me, this text is like a little bit of a hack, like a little human readable shortcut hack, right? I would argue the Unix philosophy is like do it once right, and that it would be def disk UUID. The only thing it's shorter and looks nicer. Otherwise, in my opinion, it's just extra hassle, right? But I'm considering supporting this just. I mean, theoretically, we should support this, so it should just work. Yeah, leave in the comments below. There's the usual. There is not one way to do it right, and even if in man or info page, reading the freaking manual says something is recommended or good, whatever, does not necessarily mean that it's like one author's opinion, right? Like we could agree to disagree, right? But leave in the comments below. But let's patch LLD, just a little bit of excursus of what we theoretically would want to support, maybe or whatnot. So what does not apply anymore? So LLD. Okay, that is just mach o link. Mach o. I guess it did. Where was this even? What precisely was it? Mach o link. LLD has a driver. Did they somehow restructure this code maybe? I mean, clearly something is out of sync here, right? You would expect this stuff to just work. It's like, nah. I mean, we could try if that is enough. Maybe they have some kind of factory thing of unsafe LLD. Okay, fine. Let's just patch it and see what happens. Maybe it's just some configure checking thing. Package develop LLD X, because I saved it there, 1, 2, 3. Because I didn't want to type this long name because too long to remember. Fingers crossed. 20 seconds. So the thing with this UID stuff is also, not only that mount needs support, the init RD needs potentially support. So this still failed. Error, couldn't. Okay, that was not that easy. Let's save some time and let's in parallel build 0 Clang. Probably that didn't build yet, right? Yeah, didn't build yet. Let's see what this does. Let's see what's going on here. Maybe this is somehow, here's something, driver age. As in here is still some where is it? LLD include common driver age 64. Alright, we are one, we are an object here. So they somehow refactored that, but it still doesn't freaking work. Here's some define LD all drivers. What is it even freaking doing? Result generic entry point LD is a library. Must specify drivers use pride. LD main has driver. Namespace boolean. Define LLD all drivers. So they somehow refactored it, but it still doesn't just freaking... I mean, maybe we configured it wrong, or extracted wrong, or downloaded wrong, or didn't read the freaking source code enough. I mean, super silly. It's like, yeah, YOLO, whatever. I mean, for 12%, like 12% market share operating system. I mean, at that rate, even desktop Linux soon has more. Okay, fine. That then worked. Eval diff x. Let's include that. So I'm not even LDS driver. Okay, fine. Maybe we better have it there. LLD. Maybe we need it, maybe not. But package develop LDX. Oh, cool. LLVM test disabled. Include tests. Nah. LLVM tests not found. There's always some new breakage. And it's a little bit silly. And that's a little bit the annoying thing, right? In one thing we get 10,000 of developers. I mean, probably obviously it would cost us, if we would have financed it ourselves, it would cost $1 million or so in salaries of all those, I mean, maybe even more. Certainly mind-blowing how expensive that is if you think how many high-profile developers, certainly hundreds of high-profile developers contributing code. So as much as I always complain like, hey, new breakage, yay, the more, I mean, yeah, the benefits of getting millions of code invested certainly outright me fixing some stuff for 30 minutes. So cheers and thanks Apple and Intel and AMD and NVIDIA and stuff. And ARM and all the others. So Clang. So because that's, I mean, in that grand total scheme of things, even my bisecting Spark stuff and soon Itanium stuff, certainly nothing compared to all the other contributions. So Clang, maybe as simple as disabling some more tests. What do we have? No tests here. In general, I'm not the greatest fan of building with tests because mostly they pass. I mean, on mainstream they pass because all the AAA FANG, Facebook and Apple and Google and stuff developers have done the work already, except on non-mainstream, where even if on PowerPC or Spark stuff fails, I'm not gonna to fix it, right? But it's like I'm not fixing 12 regressions when I don't see them, right? I only fix what I see is broken, and not like some. Of course, in an ideal world, if we were as rich as some microsystems or SGI, we of course would fix all tests, right? But it's like our point is shipping a mostly working Linux, aka Unix. Unix-like operating system for all those architectures, not like fixing all the test suites. So on that note, it's only wasting CPU build cycles, right? And sure, it's always good to know, like, hey, this stuff is broken, but I mean, I'm not looking actively into the log files to see what is broken this time. So probably we could just edit here of all this default stuff. Oh, cool, and also -d was in there already. So LLD. Just need to get this. Cool, all the other stuff. Yeah, so that is obviously quite some progress, right? We still need to test it. So Clang, so that is only the cross tool chain, which may build now. So that are the main points. Yeah, coming back to the UUID stuff, being a little bit on topic and what I discussed earlier. So you need to support this in mount, maybe some probably some, surely some init-RD handling of does it exist, do you want to activate volume groups, and so on. Obviously then to test whether it exists, so even the init-RD script glue I would argue surely should usually support have direct knowledge and support for UUID equals something, and to check all those stuff, like to work properly and to like non-buggy degree. So init-RD as in other tools, right? And installer needs support for that, which may be simple as just translating the path, but then also all the bootloaders need to support for this to be able to install from that, right? If your root is UUID equals whatever, and you usually grub, but also Zilo, Yaboot, Arc, Aboot, surely don't want to mention Lilo, but all the other stuff then also needs support for that to expand that back. Usually expands this back to some install path. Usually often they need to install to some other partition on the same disk or so. And yeah, Palo, not to forget HPP Everest. So yeah, that apparently starts to build there too. So far, so good. Need to be careful committing that then though, because that tree was not entirely clean. Yeah, maybe it's thinking more about this. Maybe it's kind of thought or not really the most worth it. I mean, the only thing is if you have that also straight in the FS tab, then the FS tab is shorter, which otherwise is a little bit long. Yeah, so they support straight label in there too, and then mount also needs to expand it. And then the thing is, of course, funny that here is Knuth, AEB, and all of all Donald Knuth also. What did I want to say? UUID, yeah, so your mount needs to support it. And then the thing is, if you have in the init-RD I mean, first of all, as I mentioned, the initID script should support this natively to have knowledge whether a device exists or not before mounting that, like for timeouts, for wait on root, for non-silly diagnostics and error messages, versus network mount and LVM activation. Then you might have another mount, right? Does BusyBox stuff support it? Which also, it's like, yeah, doing this all in C, right? Surely it is just a string expansion of expanding, on Linux at least, expanding that straight, like nowadays with UDEV anyway, expanding that straight, also Clang builds in. Hey, build time is still relatively close there to previous estimate. So expanding that, of course, just a string expanding UUID to dev disks by UUID, not the biggest, was also like, not the biggest problem, except C programmers doing C things and shooting themselves with pointers into their food. Yeah, and then what mount to use, right? BusyBox, and also then it doesn't matter anymore if your initRD anyway is doing string expansion in shellcode. It doesn't matter whether your mount supports it or not, because surely this mutual thing does not support. So it's not sure if BusyBox, like if we would migrate to BusyBox for more features and less bugs, then like, or we just use the system one, but would probably make the initRD a megabyte or two larger. So yeah, LVM, so now we are cross-compiling that for the target. Yeah, I probably should professionally go through my to-do and actually check what we really wanted to do then for the like really overdue release, which we really want to support. So theoretically I have a couple of new bugs. So one was flog, correct flog search also for older flog. And then I noticed today building on a old T26 from, I don't know, 2006 maybe. So char won some stuff on old T2, e.g. example given 6.0. This was a right ones, right? Yeah, this surely were right ones. They're pretty full though. I think they're full. Yep, nearly full. So 1.2 gigabyte of, like, yeah, full with Firefox and stuff, right? So even a Blender log, I'm pretty sure if I had Blender on the CD 2006. So yeah, theoretically there's one more thing. So this is basically compiling, like rolling release. Of course, it's mostly a no issue. There's certainly very few people who download a 15-year-old T2 release, but even I did today for reasons, or yesterday for reasons, on precious IBM PowerPC. Basically, this is all rolling release building on old, like rolling release building on old T2. And so another thing is, because of this, we don't have such modern checksum, which you could always argue like bootstrap one thing. But one really annoying thing is the old kernel had a limit of maximum number of arguments. So that is scripts config create package queue thing. Is it package queue? No, package list. Too many args. So Linux forever, for the first nearly 25 years, or like for the first 20 years, had a argument limit. There was like for memory, because obviously C, single address space monolithic single address space monolithic kernel written in C, C difficult, memory management difficult. So for memory allocation reasons in the Linux kernel, to keep things stupid simple, for 20 years, the Linux kernel had a fixed argument length, a maximum fixed argument length of 128 or maybe 64. Surely 64K should be enough for everyone, right? 128, something like 128 or 64K. And the problem is, we run into this in Rock Linux 20 years ago with our scripting and sometimes like for all packages and stuff. We adapted some scripts, but then eventually it annoyed us. What you always need to do creative things then to work around that. I mean, usually you're not hitting that often, except embarrassingly complex shell scripting. So usually you use Xarg stuff, or on subdivision of your input arguments, run this obviously splitting that manually for that probably will work, or alphabetically sorted or whatnot. And then this finally was removed, this limit of dynamically allocating that, only 8 or so years ago, probably 10 years ago. So after the first 20 years of the Linux kernel. And so now we can just embarrassingly complex shell script with megabytes of arguments, which obviously is amazing. Probably no other Unix could maybe ever do that, except no Linux. That is probably why we surely soon surpass macOS in desktop Linux usage. So now we can script the heck out of it without limits, even on our precious SparkStation 2. The only thing is, if you then load like for vintage and retro reasons on old hardware, an older T2 with an older 2.6 kernel, was probably this was fixed, this feature was improved around Linux 3, maybe Linux 3 or 2.6, 30, 32, whatever, something of that sort. So we could Google that, Linux kernel argument. And yeah, 2012, just as I said, and 2015 maybe. Here was finally able to pass 200. I mean, just what I said, right? Usually, what I say, even if it's from the top of my head, it's 90% plus accurate. 2023, that should be long solved. Anyway. 2022? What the heck? That should long not be a thing anymore. Anyway, so now we have the issue. If we rolling release build like I did today, load an old T2.6.0 release with an old 2.6 whatever kernel, and building latest T2, I think I need more sleep. Maybe I worked too hard. Could be a thing. When even coffee, 2023, when even coffee can't keep you awake anymore. So yeah, long story short, maybe we should fix 1 or 2 places just to make it possible, like make it, I mean, I could build some stuff, right? Like the quick solution is rm remove -rf packages contrib Ruby and KDE, and that deleted enough packages for 3,000 files to fit into the T2 like Linux kernel argument list. But of course, surely a normal user shouldn't run into this. So theoretically, probably I should spend half an hour or so. The usual, like it probably takes half an hour, and then you fill an hour or 2 in GNU.org to make it possible. But yeah, this is the kind of stuff, testing your own stuff on your precious vintage and retro Unix workstation and servers, and you run into such stuff. And how to fill my to-do. So yeah, this stuff otherwise builds. The question is, does it build also Mesa? There is supposed to be soon a new Mesa release, right? Also, no, not me. Of course, you Google random stuff, and Taylor Swift of all has a song of it. What did I Mesa? I wanted. There's supposed to be a release sometime soon. 23 current release. Was it this one? Because I once already updated. I thaw. Once I or data updated Mesa, and I believe Notec reverted that. So was it... did I hallucinate that? Yeah, 23.2 is a release candidate. So we had, yeah, okay, data did that. So 23.2, okay, so that is coming, still coming soon. Oh, that was quite snappy. 23.17. So we have that. Do they have here? No, they don't. 20. Okay, they had 23.2. Okay, they didn't even announce that. So it was just on the mirror, probably. Okay, now we are building Rust. So the big question is, did the LLVM Clang people change API? Apparently they did. It's like, did they? Error. Yeah, question solved. And that is the question, right? To update or not to update. Did not execute successfully. Okay, what did we have today? No matching function to call LLVM. So yeah, PGO, yeah, of course they broke. Did they break? To be or not to be? Did they break? Did they break or did they not break their API? Yeah, just breaks. So probably, I mean, there is, surely actually we could actually check, maybe there's a Rust C version around the corner. That is, of course, the annoying thing. We do not necessarily need to be at the forefront of bleeding edge Linux and open source technology. But certainly it's an advertising feature, right? And eventually, sure, I mean, how to work around this? Theoretically, I don't need to do that on release day, which, spoiler, they didn't even release that yet, I guess. It's just on some news sites already, because they are probably still writing their release announcements. Like, yeah, how bleeding edge are we? We are. We could simply wait a month or so, but we obviously want to release sometime soon. And I also have some Spark fixes, right? Previous video. Spark, Firefox, and things. So obviously it makes more sense to continue in finalizing, debugging, implementing that Spark version 9 marginality for the latest version. And so yeah, we have that. The question is that the same for Mesa? And Rust, there is, I mean, it's like, yeah, either we wait some weeks or months. So in the case of Rust, it could be 6 weeks. I believe at least 4 weeks. I believe we recently updated something. We could, other options, I mean, we could patch it ourselves, but obviously we would not want to waste our time and money. 24 days ago, I think they have a quite strict 6-week release schedule, right? So, I mean, it should not be that long, right? 24 is 28 would be 4, so it's nearly 4. So like, yeah, probably 2 weeks, which may or may not fix it. We could implement this. What I previously did at times was including those patches already. Yeah, this is a little bit, I mean, sure, what I said, this annoyance of like a little bit breakage, I always find it a little bit annoying, but as I said, we get millions of outstanding development for free, so we shall not whine about a little bit API breakage. Although I find it a little bit, annoying. I find it's like, is it? I mean, sure, they change and improve stuff, which is, and what? Okay, this is misleading. Numeric limits is not a number of standard. What the heck? This looks not really. I mean, it did build previously. That is funny. It looks like maybe we could. It doesn't even look API change. This actually looks like maybe collateral breakage of header include cleanup. Probably this build versus Ninja or Ninja object dir J30 to install. Fix files, source, Scallion drivers, R600, SFN. Virtual value factory. Let's, did it say numeric limits, right? Maybe it is as simple as, oh, this is pro tip, yeah. Numeric limits is numeric. C++, what is the numeric limits header? Or is it just limits? Maybe it's just limits. Include of limits. I mean, maybe it would be better to fix this in LLVM Clang. LVM. In my opinion, if you include a header, it should include all its dependencies. Maybe that fixed something. I mean, it could be more API breakage, right? But fingers crossed, maybe it's one failed of what? Outside libgl API? I mean, we could add this at hotfix LLVM 17 patch. And as we wanted to be even more professional this year, right, with all this extra code funding, right, of previous forward-looking statement here. Of preserving embedded Linux. And this heavy investment we should include that, right? Oops. Just what I said here. Maybe both. We don't really need too much. That was another hotfix. I mean, that's certainly, I mean, it's silly, but I think I also copied something. I think I wanted to copy more, not really sure how why one includes also is too much. So it should be, in my opinion, it should be the full path of the project. Not really sure what I copy and pasted there. That is certainly one of the smaller fixes. So then it's only Rust, potentially. Rust, LLVM 17, maybe they have already a patch in GitHub. Rust updated to, that is just recently. 2% compile time, what improvement? Is Rust faster? Yay, Rust is 2% faster, amazing. Nice compile time. No, 2%. We are celebrating a 13% or whatnot on HPP Arisk, Ultraspark and whatnot. And Rust developers, yay, it's 2% faster. It's like, yeah, I mean, obviously I take 2%, right? Like yes, thank you, and more of it, right? I would actually, with all these hundreds of micro dependencies, I would actually prefer 20% freaking faster. Updated. So apparently that is so like 1 month ago, but okay, that build. So what's up with Rust? Let's test. Rust looked broken. So like pro tip, right? Putting my money where our mouth is. Improvements, infrastructure, hot fixes, bug fixes, improvements, polishing, attention for detail, rinse and repeat. And now 2% faster to build errors, and including like share, like, subscribe, leave me comments below. Obviously you all agree. If you have some context what some patch actually is supposed to fix, so much nicer, especially if you forgot a month, a year, a decade later. soon half a century, quarter century at least. So this one here, compare stuff of, okay, this seems good, yada yada. We would need thanks single basic block version. Memcopy killer has what? Thanks to Kai4, the single basic block version of the Rust, memcopy killer has landed in LVM. Note that it only works as a single basic block for now, but it can improve later or review LVM. So what we need, I mean, this all is nice and stuff. Also, by the way, if you want Reddit, I didn't post here the most, right? Theoretically, if you want more on Reddit, shellac subscribe and stuff, right? So thanks for that. Hey, we have 35 freaking members here. I didn't post so much, like 2 months ago and stuff. Yeah, I probably leave in the comments below. Should be Reddit more? Like soon it actually makes sense, right? All right, this was that one here of Rust. This was some real API breakage, wasn't it? No matching function to call PGO options, yada yada, whatnot. Yeah, so that is some real API. So actually, what I usually do, all right, this is the usual file that we usually patch. I don't actually need to Google that more. Oops. Pro tip, be a pro and don't Google. Being a pro means going to your git clone and rustlang rust, and then LVM wrapper, or was it compiler rust? Why is that not further full path here of candidate const options? What do we even have here? Yada yada, options bool. Where is this LVM wrapper? Rust is limited. Hate when this doesn't include more of a pass. Okay, fine. And not. Was it dash wrapper? Oh, it's the wrong one. Pass wrapper. So that is compiler Rust-C, so that's what I was looking for. Next time I will surely, hopefully remember that. Rust-C LVM. Rust-C LVM. LVM wrapper. And then the history writes that is was pass wrapper, right? Pass wrapper here. LVM, yeah, already adapted for that changes. That commit is that okay, that is actually a super small commit found by our experiment Rust plus LVM head continuous integration. So that does this load with obviously without typo or pressing the key full. Okay, let's import that. It's like, yeah, that's how you're doing it, right? You actually do your due diligence and look at this. Like, yeah, Google and AI will not, like, if it's state of the art, AI will not help you with that. Thanks God. It's like, anyway, curl. Oh, yeah, copy and paste didn't work. Hey, can AI help me with copy and paste? Well, curl that. Move AF to hotfix Clang 17 patch. Hotfix Clang 17, and then of course the just praised error message. that probably is that in function. I would say that is enough. All the other stuff is just more context that. I mean, obviously a line and context before and after doesn't hurt, but it's unnecessary if that line already says it all. Oops. There's still some hotfixes. Yeah, obviously. What? All right. Yeah, include that too. Can never have too much context. And maybe that's already all that's needed to remain the, for 25 years, state-of-the-art Linux distribution. From ARM to x86. I probably should have built with -v. So theoretically we could actually further review their changes. I could already scroll through that here. That's certainly how we like it, right? Not the biggest, like just some small thing here and there. Like long R to catch, but PowerPC. Probably we should make a more dedicated live stream for that. Do they have probably no vector, right? Or do they have more? Oh, this also didn't build, so that wasn't all. Or we didn't patch it right. Because that was somehow not yet good that I just closed it. I was just thinking I should not close it yet. Did we not apply that hotfix? Or maybe I didn't apply it right. Looks right so. Why is this not applied? What have I done here? I also misnamed that actually. Did I also misname Miller patch? Not sure what I did there. Or I rebuilt something wrong. No, this I named correct. LVM PGO options and path wrapper. By the way, what did we hotfix? Where did we patch something there? Is this even? This is code gen. Okay, maybe that's not all. Maybe this was only half of it. 4 days. What else do we have? LVM, API, PGO. Here's another. What else do we have here? CodeGen, whatever, LTO, by name. Okay, let's see what that is here. September 5th. Read module version 18. Okay, we don't have 18, right? Okay, it must be. So they prepare for the next apparently already. I mean, we could blame that PGO, PGO. Actually, maybe I should have actually looked at the protip read first, then sometimes you save 10 minutes or more. Hotfix, LVM. Ah. But here is function to call columns. Oh wait, this is my thing. Okay, apparently, so which version is it here even? Okay, that is 18. Okay, I didn't check that enough. That is 18. This should not affect us. That is already the next thing. Of course, nice that they prepare for that, so that next update actually smoother. So let's keep our error message and okay, that is 15. Maybe we, here's another, I mean, that is a little bit, I mean, okay, we can expand that. I mean, this is a little bit, nah. It's like, wouldn't help me the most if you need to, yeah, so that is the one. Because it doesn't include even PGO and stuff, like, it looks super professional, but it's not very helpful in my opinion, right? So I would rather have like which PGO stuff and like which type of function and so on, but yeah. Append to that file. Three times the charm. Maybe that's finally enough. And I need to eliminate. Yeah, that's certainly some progress. And then we can just, oh, stream bit warning. Okay, at least no 0 params, probably just too low. Oh, this still fails. Probably more APIs. Like, yeah, nobody said maintaining your own. Like, yeah, pro tip, don't create the 2029 Linux distribution. Be smarter than everyone else and just contribute to one of the existing Linux distribution, or don't kill innovation and do a non-Linux distribution like a microkernel or other different kind of whatever stuff, because certainly there are enough Linux distributions. This is differently now. LTO symbol wrapper, small string was not declared. This is, cool. So I would, I mean, should we include all in this case? I think I delete this context here. It's just, I mean, it's not necessary, but I would say that is just a little bit attention to detail. Don't need the most styling ASCII art stuff there. If you're wondering that this web browser is a little bit sluggish, it's a Steam Deck, right? So wasting some memory bandwidth streaming, and a quad or whatever core thread or whatnot. 8 core, 15 watt AMD part can only do so much from 2 years ago even. API change. Previously, oh cool, that is a small thing, okay, fine. Patch that, curl that is the right thing on package Rust C hotfix LLVM 17, and off we go. That's it for this video. We are mostly through. It's probably like, if it's hopefully the last LLVM 17 API change, but there is more, so don't forget to share, like, subscribe for probably the next live stream coming up just later today. Surprisingly little chat today for all the people tuning in. Wonder why that is. Does the chat work? Chat broken. Anyways, I probably want to raise the bitstream a little bit now that today the internet is exceptionally working. Maybe that sort. Yep, and then we finally, hopefully, really soon, it's like, yeah, famous last words, I want to release for months. There's always one more thing, but that is the last expected thing, plus a handful of bug fixing, right? Rust.C could not compile borrowed. Apparently they write too much on DOS and can't borrow enough characters. Oh man, why is that? Segmentation fault. Oh cool. That is exactly what we freaking wanted to have. Seg fault, CPU, likely. By the way, is it upstream? I once upon a time patched that. Maybe it's upstream. Yeah, just what we want. It could be just another LLVM thing away, but which of all the many, right? It's one thing fixing something. Ah, chat works. People busy at work, that's amazing. And greetings to Vienna and the rest of the world. And the favorite ASMR channel, happy to hear that. There's one thing the compiler tells you, hey, that doesn't compile, and it's like, yay, C and C++ random memory corruption. I mean, surely there is no error until Rust borrow check. Then the question is, warning, LLVM wrapper, this header is deprecated, okay. Do we also have any other substantial warning? Cool. It builds until its segmentation faults. Now that's always the coolest thing. It is possible that there is something fixed upstream, but between the gazillion versions, that is certainly difficult to find. It is also possible that another thing here, another hotfix of ours, but we don't like. Probably not ARM. I mean, the other stuff built today, right? The other stuff built until that change. We could build that for another architecture and see if that also segmentation faults. Like, yeah, obviously ICE, right? Internal compiler error. Like, if the compiler engineers are so great that, I mean, it could be stuff out of sync, but obviously there are valid upstream, vanilla, proper, unpatched, even mainstream x86, ICE, internal compiler error, segmentation faults. So build any sections. So I mean, It could be some stuff, but this is only... right, no, this is only debug, it shouldn't be that. Alright, the other we reverted, right? The other didn't... yeah, the other we... that's not fully done. So yeah, that needs some more Guru meditation. That's unfortunate. I guess it's maybe a good idea to completely rebuild it. Half of the time a complete rebuild fixes some issues because stuff is not out of sync. Headers, like no stray old headers are there, which may or may not be the case and stuff. We're mostly there, except that we're mostly there until a segmentation fault. We will find it eventually. I mean, yeah, so we could, so how to debug that? We could just check where it is, right? Build it with debug symbols. I mean, without debug symbols, you will probably not see much. And then rebuild with debug symbols, GDB backtrace on the core dump. And then most likely you should have an idea in what area it is, or worst case, you run it through Volgrant. The only complication is, in this monstrous, modern, ever-growing build systems, it might be a rather time-consuming, tricky affair to even find the right spot of intercepting how Rust's build system builds it. That is, yeah, recurrent criticism, right? I'm not making this stuff up. It's, even for me, I endure much, but even for me, modern build systems, Firefox, LLVM Rust, even the Linux kernel now at times, it's like, yeah, if it takes 30 minutes of like navigating build system stuff, or like you need to resort to S tracing with -s large string size, verbose, fork all children and stuff, then that's not fun. And then obviously extracting that out of strace log, although, yeah. Maybe it builds on a fresh rebuild, maybe it doesn't. Worst case, I mean, we can pre-test most things and wait for the next Rust release, which hopefully should have more. I mean, we could, the other thing is we could, instead of waiting, we could today, apparently they have this mostly upstream, right? So we could, instead of a release version, build Rust, C, Rust compiler, Git, tree, head, just as a test if that would work, to further narrow it down before wasting our brain cells debugging it. That's it for this video. We made some progress as usual. Hope you enjoyed this and learned something. Have a good day or night, and I hope to see you soon for all the next further development to come.